Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another edition of the Mandatory. If you like the content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media channels. You'll see on the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to this on the audio side, you'll see in the description the ways that you can connect with us. Also, if you are on the audio side, leave a rate and review. That always helps the channel grow. Give us a 5-star because that'll help as well. If you've already done all of that, we just want to say thank you so much for rocking out with us. And Bryan, I guess really quickly, Conor Ben victorious against Chris Eubank Jr. And I didn't think it'd go that way, but the weight drain, right? The rehydration clause, which usually gets boxers, I think got him in this one. Just your thoughts on the fight and even how Conor Ben fought.
You had a take earlier, well, not earlier this week, but last week, where you said you didn't like rehydration clauses for this reason,
Yeah.
because fighters do show up drained, and my response to that was like, fight in your weight class, and I think we're both kind of right here, where it's like, hey, rehydration clauses, it can force these performances, and also fight in your weight class, Chris Eubank, because maybe this wouldn't have happened. I mean, he's cut multiple times in his career below where he's fighting at the time, and he had a stint at super middleweight. I'm actually going to pull this up, or I'm going to look at it now. We'll go through it, but he clearly outgrew the weight class, and Conor Ben is able to settle in there easily. Conor Ben also, by the way, got his first knockdown in this fight since getting popped for PEDs.
Yep.
So worth noting.
But he did look a lot better than he did in the first fight. But this is why I hate the rehydration clause, because fighters, it affects you in a massive way. And we've seen this play out too many times in previous fights, and they're going to give us a trilogy fight. I knew they were. They're going to give us a trilogy fight for this one.
Yeah.
Will there be a rehydration clause? If I'm Chris Eubank Jr., I don't want it.
But if I'm Conor Ben and I just won, I don't give a shit what you want.
Yeah, but now it's tied to 1-1.
Yeah.
Right? So you and they're gonna make tons of money. There's no way they're gonna turn down that type of bag for the trilogy fight. Highly doubt it. Everyone's been entertained for the first 2 fights.
Especially the first one. The second one you kind of knew right away. Like, I'm watching it and I'm like, the way there's a way that if you're boxing, like when you're tired, when you're drained, whatever it is, the way you sort of get out of the pocket. And Chris Eubank Jr., the way he was bouncing in and out of the pocket and the way he was stepping back, it just looked more lethargic. It looked like it wasn't a springy step. It wasn't something that he was doing just intentionally. It was more so like, I'm trying to kind of just get through here. Like, it looked a little bit lazy, not because he didn't work hard, but because he just didn't have a lot there. It just looked like that from the jump. You see the scorecards here. 116, 110 was very generous to Chris Eubank Jr. But regardless, 118, 108, that's how I had it. I thought he got like 2 rounds early. 2 of the first, I don't know, 4 or 5, something like that. And it was the Conor Ben show after that.
It was
119, 107.
Yeah, it was pretty wide in my opinion. And that's not Chris Eubank is extremely talented. He's very, very skilled. And that he was drained. That's what happens in boxing when you sign on the dotted line about the rehydration clause. You know what you're getting yourself into. So at the same time, it's on Chris Eubank. Like, you get what you negotiate.
It looked like he could have had a shot at the Canelo fight had he won this too at a Canelo fight. I was dubious of that, but yeah. I mean, look, I just expect that they'll run it back at some point.
Trilogy fight, they have to. It makes too much money. Everyone's entertained. And the first 2 fights were good. And I think the third one, like, we don't know what we're going to get out of the third one, to be honest with you. Because I don't think Conor Ben looked very good in the first one.
No.
So that's the thing. Now it's a different story. So the trilogy fight will pretty much seal the deal for us. So drop your comments if you're watching this later on what you thought about the Chris Eubank Conor Ben fight, the number 2, the number 3. Fight that might be possibly coming up. Do you want to see it? Do you want to see the trilogy fight? Let us know. And coming up on the show, we are going to be breaking down the entire David Benavidez Anthony Yarde fight, and lots to get into. Why don't we start off there though, Bryan, with the main event with David Benavidez and Anthony Yarde, because this is going to be an absolute brawl between these guys. and David Benavidez, with Canelo kind of in the background now. I guess, I wouldn't say he's
not rolling.
he's not totally out of boxing, but you could see where the sunset is for Canelo, I feel like. And I think David Benavidez, we talked about a few guys. There's another guy on this card, Bam Rodriguez. You talk about the next face of American Mexican boxing. David Benavidez has to be on there, possibly Virgil Ortiz, but even Bam Rodriguez. But I think David Benavidez is probably one of the biggest stars in boxing right now, Bryan.
Yeah, we saw it with the Caleb Plant fight. I was surprised at how much buzz it generated. I feel like it also performed above expectation. Not that it killed it out here compared to like some of the top guys, but it established David Benavidez in a different way, where I think he's a little bit more than just like a niche favorite. He hasn't crossed over completely or anything like that, but he clearly has star potential. So here's the card. As usual, BoxRec just sort of reorders it, and the reason why is because by their rating and metric system, Anthony Yarde makes the David Benavidez fight a 4-star fight, whereas you have 3 5-star fights on the card: Sam Noakes, Abdullah Mason, Jesse Rodriguez, Bam Rodriguez, and Fernando Martinez, and Brian Norman Jr. versus Devin Haney.
Ooh.
But technically, the main event is supposed to be Benavidez and Yarde. I disagree with that, by the way. To me, the main event should be either
Haney and Norman
or Bam Rodriguez.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. I think David Benavidez is the biggest name on there.
That's probably true.
There's only 2 people,
weird. But it would have. Isn't it kind of Devin Haney though?
No, because there's only 2 people that can sell out an arena. Devin can't do it on his own. Brian Norman Jr. isn't as big of a name right now. He probably will be after this weekend, in my opinion. We'll get to that. Other than Bam Rodriguez, David Benavidez is the biggest star on here. That's why he's the headliner. That's why
he's a bigger name than Bam Rodriguez.
He will sell out arenas. David Benavidez will sell out arenas. That's how big of a superstar he is. He could essentially be the next face of boxing, Bryan, I think, if he continues this.
Yeah. Bam, to me, is the best pound for pound guy on the card. And I don't think
he's top 5.
I don't think anyone's going to dispute that. But Dave Benavidez, I think is the biggest name.
The only reason why Bam doesn't have the same cachet yet is because he fights in a smaller weight class. And as you know, the smaller weight classes don't get as much love as, the other weight classes. So that's the only reason, I think. But yeah.
No, there's another reason. There's another reason. He fights on the zone. Dave Benavidez came up fighting on Showtime, on PBC cards that are more easily accessible than DAZN, because as Lou DiBella continues to remind Ariel Helwani every time he goes up there, nobody fucking has DAZN in the States.
Yeah. I know a few people that have DAZN in the States, but you gotta,
not nobody as in literally and nobody, but for the most part, like, people knew boxing. People knew Showtime for boxing. People had Showtime for boxing. People had access to PBC cards very easily because their cards were like on Fox, on all these other platforms, as we've talked about numerous times. But David Benavidez is a bigger name because he's also been around longer. But I think it's that too. It's not the fact that he won his title before and then had to give it up, and it's older. It's been around longer, but also he fought on Showtime, not DAZN in the corner of the internet that most people just don't give a shit about.
But also he's been tied to names like Canelo, where David Benavidez has been in the news, been in the spotlight. People have said Canelo's been ducking him, whereas Bam really hasn't had that. Bam has not had that type of those stories come out about him, right? Like, Bam's been proven that he's one of the best. He's top 5 pound for pound right now, in my opinion. So we'll get to that, but I think there's a reason, obviously, why David Benavidez is the headliner. So why don't we start off with that fight first? Even though a sneaky good one is Sam Noakes and Abdullah Mason. Because the people in the UK, they rock with Sam Noakes. Is this going to... We'll get to that a little bit later, but let's start off with David Benavidez and Anthony Yarde. Bryan, since your screen is up, do you want to bring up the odds?
We'll do it. I do think, though, as I said this before, when we talked about this, probably when it got announced or so. I think this could be a tougher fight for David Benavidez than some people are letting on. I think David Benavidez will probably win, but I may sniff around an Anthony Yarde line or two just because he has the type of power. Like we've seen David Benavidez get rocked, get dropped multiple times in his career. I do think that Anthony Yarde has legitimate power that you need to be frightened by. And David Benavidez also, there's a question of how well does his power translate at this level. I'm not saying Anthony Yarde is going to walk through his punches because I don't think that's going to be the case. He will try to walk him down. Good luck with that. But at the same time, like Anthony Yarde he might be the biggest puncher in this fight, you know, and this is why I don't think he should be where he's projected to be in terms of the odds, which I'm going to pull up right now. He is, wow, he's plus 680. Dave Benavidez is minus 1200.
That's disrespectful to Anthony Yarde. That's very disrespectful to Anthony Yarde. But if you're a better,
we did say this last week about Virgil Ortiz and Erickson Lubin, though.
Yeah, but if you're better, you like those odds for Anthony Yarde. The only thing is, yeah, Yarde does have some power. He's going to have to start off fast, which he normally does. But at the same time, he has to hurt David Benavidez fast. He's going to, also have his speed. He's good at counterpunching. Only liability for him is conditioning. And as you know, David Benavidez gets better as the fight goes on. Once he gets into the rhythm, he's very hard to stop. He'll also take some hits and he'll be landing some big shots on you. I don't think Anthony Yarde wins this fight unless he hurts David Benavidez early. And I just don't see that happening. I think this is going to end in a stoppage, Bryan. David Benavidez gets his stoppage or gets a knockout against Anthony Yarde. This is the one where we're going to be like, okay, we see it. Because when you move up a weight class in the beginning, you have to get used to that weight class, right? Like, look at Bud when he moved up to 154. He didn't get a stoppage or a KO against Madrimov. Then he moved up again against Canelo. He moved up a lot, and he ended up putting on a great show. But there's still that pop and power that David Benavidez has, and I think he's going to show it in this fight. Anthony Yarde will make it interesting, though. I think it's going to happen between rounds 9 through 12. And if we take a look at the other betting factors here, we got David Benavidez by KO TKO minus 160. David Benavidez by points. That's a plus 185. Is that, Bryan? Okay, great. So my vision is still intact because it's very small on the screen. But Anthony Yarde, if you wanted to bet on him, by points or decision would be plus 2,000. And by KO or TKO, it would be, you're moving it there. So you can read that for me, Bryan. Plus 800.
I'll just read them all.
I just read them all. You don't have to read them all. Okay. Yeah. So Anthony Yarde, for him to get a TKO or KO, would be a plus 800.
800, yes. And by decision, if you think this is somehow going to, not somehow, it might go to the cards. Plus 2,000 for Anthony Yarde. I do think if Anthony Yarde is going to win this, he has to knock him out.
No.
So I think, and I'm sure he intends to. He said so. I do wonder what this is going to just look like. Like David Benavidez is going to try to be the aggressor against a guy in Anthony Yarde who also enjoys trying to be the aggressor. If you look at total rounds, let's guess the over under. I'm going to say 9.5 for total rounds. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say 9.5. Like I said, I think the stoppage is going to happen between round 9 through 12. That's when it's going to happen.
Nailed it. 9.5. Look at that. I know a little something about how Vegas works. To be knocked down and win, Dave Benavidez plus 850, Anthony Yarde plus 5,000. Will both fighters be knocked down plus 950? I usually just roll my eyes at this prop. I think for this fight, it's actually kind of plausible. I'm probably giving Anthony Yarde too much respect, but I do think, Dave Benavidez should win this. And also to get a knockdown, minus 240 and 2 knockdowns plus 105. You got to be careful with the 2 knockdown bets because sometimes somebody gets dropped and then just get rocked, but they don't actually get stopped. So there's a lot there. I don't know how I'm going to look at this yet. I'm tempted to sprinkle on Anthony Yarde just because it's such a long number, and I don't think David Benavidez is unbeatable, indestructible. Like he's undefeated, yes, and he's really, really good, clearly. But he doesn't strike me as one of these type of dudes. Like I absolutely cannot bet against. Like Terrence Crawford, I'm not betting against. Alexander Usyk, I'm not betting against. Now you're in a way. I'm not betting against. I will if he fights.
But you did bet against Usyk. You took Fury.
Yeah, and now I'm not. I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but Fury's also plausible because the first fight was close, and he also had like a unique size, skill, combination, footwork, all these different things. Where it's like, okay, maybe. And until he got rocked in the 9th round, it looked like it was going to go his way. Dave Benavidez is not one of those dudes.
No, but I think his power and his speed and his skill is better than Anthony Yarde's. Like I think you think Anthony Yarde is the bigger puncher, but for me, David Benavidez, I don't know who's going to beat him yet. I don't think it's Anthony Yarde.
That's fair.
So that's why
I probably agree with that.
So that's why it's like, it depends on if he ends up moving up. What fights could we possibly get? There are some very interesting ones. And then I would be like, I don't know if I would take David Benavidez. But you're right in terms of
Bivol. Like if you stepped up in competition and fought Bivol.
That's what I mean. I don't know if I'm taking anyone against Bivol.
Right. If he fought Better Biev.
I'm listen, he's Canadian now. I'm taking Better Biev.
It's also be a tongue twister. Benavidez versus Better Biev is going to be
But
annoying.
Better Biev is like getting sneakily older, like really old, and that's my only that's my only worry though. But at the same time, Bivol is so skilled, and I don't know. Like those were 2 great fights too.
I agree with DT. Let's get to the main event. We're both think Benavidez wins, but I think I'm not positive he stops him. By the way, last thing on this fight, did you see this awkward post from Ring Magazine where they were touting their card and then they said 193 wins and just 3 losses. The 8 fighters on the main card have a crazy combined record. Anthony Yarde has all 3 of these losses. Kind of fucked up that they would post this. And then a lot of people also use this as an opportunity to dunk on Devin Haney and say, actually, it should be 193 and 4 because we all saw what happened against Ryan Garcia, even though we know there were some extracurriculars there. Okay, main event time.
All right, let's do it. So Brian Norman Jr., Devin Haney, what are the odds for this one, Brian? That's what I want to know.
Still 50-50. 112, 112, and it's been around this for weeks.
All right, so Brian, before you tell me your bet for this one, how do you see this fight going?
Maybe it's because I've seen too many Brian Norman Jr. In terms of preparing for this fight. I've rewatched this fight against Sasaki 2 days ago, and I'm worried about Devin Haney being chinny now. He didn't take any risks against Jose Ramirez when you saw him on that awful Times Square card that some people thought was going to be the card of the year. So that's why I put card of the year question mark in our graphic for this, because I'm like, we think it'll deliver, but we'll see, because these Riyadh cards have flopped in the past. Wonder why that's happened. I think Brian Norman Jr. is going to knock out Devin Haney.
Yeah.
I'm really worried about Devin Haney's chin.
So it was, I think last week, Brian and I were setting up this show. It was on the weekend. I was at the gym. Had no reason to message him about boxing. I messaged him. I said, Brian, listen, I'm convinced, out of nowhere while I'm working out at the gym. I just messaged him. I'm like, I'm convinced Brian Norman Jr. is going to knock out Devin Haney. And we were having this back and forth about like the potentials of what could happen in this fight. Once you get knocked out the way that Devin Haney got knocked out, I don't care. Like, this is going to be controversial. I don't really care about Ryan Garcia testing positive for PEDs at this point. He still was dropping Devin Haney. Devin Haney's jaw was just broken after that fight. Once you get dropped like that numerous times in a fight, that's tough. Devin Haney ended up still making it throughout the whole fight, but that fight really damaged him, in my opinion. And that really showed when he fought Jose Ramirez. And listen, I'm the biggest Jose Ramirez fan, if anyone listens to this show. Jose Ramirez is not the same Jose Ramirez as he was years ago. Not the same guy. I don't think he has been the same guy since he's fought Josh Taylor, in my opinion. However, Devin Haney didn't want to get hit. And all he did in that fight, I don't want to say run, but he just kept on moving around the ring. There was barely any shots landed, but he did land some shots on Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez did nothing in that fight, and he cruised to a win, doing nothing really. This is a different fight against a Brian Norman Jr. who is athletic, has speed, and at times Brian Norman Jr. can be defensively irresponsible, but I think he can close the distance against Devin Haney, and I think he's going to make Devin Haney pay. I think Devin Haney does get landed on early on in his career, a little bit better defensively, but I think this is a fight where Haney's going to be moving around the ring a lot, not trying to get hit, landing where he can land. And the Brian Norman Jr. is going to be closing in on that gap. And Brian Norman Jr. has power, and once he starts throwing combos, he lets those combos fly. And there's pop and power in those combos that he throws. I'm taking Brian Norman Jr. to win by TKO or KO. I think we actually see Devin Haney get knocked out in this one, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it feels like the trendy pick, but there are boxing reasons for this. Devin Haney is not a real welterweight. I know he's bigger and he was cutting a lot to make lightweight, and Regis Prograis, even when they fought at super lightweight, was talking about how much Devin Haney, how big he was for that fight, and he dropped Regis Prograis in that fight. But I think we can see now Regis Prograis probably past his best days is how we'll word that. And I think with Devin Haney, he didn't have power at lightweight despite all that weight he was cutting. And obviously he didn't have power in his brief stint at 140. And at 147, I mean, you mentioned Jose Ramirez not being the same. Jose Ramirez is not a true welterweight either. And this is a fight that took place in that division. Ryan Garcia was at 140 technically. Ryan Garcia showed up overweight. I care about that from the standpoint of, because I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree. I care from the standpoint that Ryan Garcia did them, and I feel like he should get more shit for it. And instead, he got rewarded with a title shot against Rolly Romero, and it looks like he's going to get another title shot against somebody else, because apparently we need to fucking give Ryan Garcia a belt, even though he hasn't proven shit. Like, he hasn't proven anything in terms of him being championship level. He got an opportunity against Tank, lost. Got an opportunity, and got stopped, by the way. Got an opportunity against Rolly Romero. Rolly Romero, who never fought at welterweight either, lost. And now it looks like he's going to get another opportunity. But that to the side. Devin Haney, this sport is so fucking stupid. Devin Haney, he was early in terms of being looked at as a future star, great prospect, and also somebody else who was really coming up as a teenager, getting a lot of recognition. Did a lot of his pro fights early in Mexico. Brian Norman Jr. did the same thing, wasn't getting the type of respect. And Brian Norman Jr., like, this is a big prove-it fight for him.
Yeah.
Are you actually a star sort of hiding in plain sight? Because it doesn't have the resume to back up shit yet.
No.
Yet. But he's 28-0. He has real power. I don't know what he's going to weigh on fight night, but I feel like it could hit the 160s. Like, this, he's a big dude.
Yeah.
I don't know how,
is he going to be a weight bully? Is he going to be a weight bully? I don't know. But you know what? Devin Haney comes into the fight really big too sometimes. He tries to weight bully.
Yeah, but he doesn't hit that hard.
No, not at all. But here's the other thing though too.
Just the last thing about Brian Norman Jr. real quick.
Yeah.
Like, the other thing is, the reason why I'm like, is he a star hiding in plain sight, is because somebody like him with his pedigree, in terms of, like, he's 28 wins already. He's about to turn 25 the day after the fight. And he has this amount of power. Like, he's somebody who could be out of here in terms of being a star. And I think this is kind of set up to be a performance for him where we're like, oh, okay, this is going to be a pound for pound top 10 guy soon if he knocks him out.
The only other thing that could happen is, in terms of experience and skill, Devin Haney has a lot more than Brian Norman Jr. This could be very interesting in the fact that if Devin Haney does just use his skill and takes his shots, if he takes Brian Norman Jr.'s hits, if he's able to sustain those hits and just boxes his way to a victory, he'll win. If Devin Haney actually boxes, Brian Norman Jr. is going to try to want to take Devin Haney out of his comfort zone. But I think Devin Haney's going to stick to his game plan. That's the only thing. Is Brian Norman Jr. going to be able to close the gap and land a big shot on Devin Haney that will hurt him? I think that will happen. But Devin Haney could also just outskill him in this one. Because when it comes to the skill advantage, let's give Devin Haney his props. He is very skilled. We just have questions about his chin. So that's how I see the fight going. I think it's going to be, hopefully it's going to be entertaining. And hopefully we see the Devin Haney that we kind of saw against Lomachenko. But I don't know if he's going to fight like that. And we're going to find out on fight night if he is scared to get hit. Because that was my narrative after the Jose Ramirez fight. I was like, he just don't want to get hit. And
Not
as a
only
boxer,
yours.
yeah. But as a boxer, obviously, like you want to hit people. You don't want to get hit, but you also want to be able to put on a show if you're at the level that Devin Haney's at. So there's a lot riding on this fight too for him, Bryan.
And normally, I would take the boxer over the puncher. And I wish Brian Norman Jr. I wish we got more of a sense of what he could be like at a higher level. Because Devin Haney, in terms of quality, this is his best opponent easily.
Yep.
That being said, can Devin Haney outbox him for 12 rounds and stay upright? Is sort of the question. Like, there's a lot of questions on both sides. That's why I think this is appropriately priced. It's -112 each way. This has been a 50-50 fight each way. This is a 50-50 fight. But if Brian Norman Jr. has the patience and is able to show more than just his punching ability and actually close the distance, as you said, actually cut off the ring, because he's going to definitely need to cut off the ring. If you're following Devin Haney around and kind of doing the Isak Cruz, where it's like, oh, I'm going to just follow you around and not really cut off the ring well enough and get the stoppage and just kind of mess around. Like, yeah, this could be a long night. DT 2771 in the comments shouted something out that this got my attention. The exact method for KO. Brian Norman by KO, not TKO, just KO. If you think he's going to get a one-shot knockout like he did against Jin Sasaki in his last fight and against Giovanni Santillan before that, plus 950 to just one hitter quitter, just knock Devin Haney lights out with one shot. And that 950 for something we've seen twice in his last 3 fights against somebody who, again, the Ryan Garcia thing was what it was, but what we can't change is the fact that Devin Haney may not recover from that, from just his chin. Like, he did get, however, it could have been illegal, whatever. He did get dropped multiple times and got rocked over and over and over again. And that's something that can stick with you throughout the rest of your career. So I think it's plausible that this happens.
Yeah. Drop your comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. Let us know who you're going to be taking in this fight, how you're going to be betting. And if you are taking that crazy bet, exact method, Brian Norman Jr. by knockout, let us know. Drop your slip. We want to know that. Yeah. I mean, the odds are legit for that one. Bryan, let's move on to the next fight. I would say the next important fight, unless you have anything else to say about this.
No, just wanted to shout out 2 knockdowns or more, plus 185. If you think Brian Norman Jr. Or Devin Haney, I mean, I guess Devin Haney. Look, if you think Devin Haney's going to show up 170, who knows? Let's hit Bam Rodriguez.
Yeah, which is interesting because I think, is Abdullah Mason and Sam Noakes after Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney? Which is ridiculous.
No, I think it's the first fight on the main card. It should be, at least.
Oh, okay. I thought that was going to be... Okay, yeah. Is Vito not on the main card? Is he prelims?
No. Okay. Hell no. Who is Vito fighting?
I know he's on the card.
Like, come on. He's on the card because he's one of the only, like, how many fighters signed to, join the Team Paramount over there.
Team Paramount.
Zuffa, you know what I mean? I think Vito is one of the only ones. And that, congrats to him on getting a WBA global middleweight shot, because that's what that fight is for. Global. All right,
let's get into it. Jesse Bam Rodriguez is a minus 1,200, and Fernando Martinez is a plus 670. Bryan, how do you have this fight going, and who are you taking?
Bam is the only guy you can trust on the main card to get it done. Bam's probably the one where it's like, okay, if I had to pick one person who I don't think will lose on the main card, it's just Bam. And all the A sides may win, we'll see, but I don't know. Bam Rodriguez, I think he'll get this done. How? I don't know. Martinez is good. Martinez is good. It's just Bam's on another level, but Martinez is good. And we've also seen quietly, we've seen Bam Martinez, Bam Rodriguez. I combined the two. Bam Rodriguez struggle a little bit at times, get hit a little bit more than I've liked at times. Fernando Martinez is skilled. You don't necessarily think it's going to be he should not try to compete power for power with Bam Rodriguez in this fight. And I think Bam probably breaks him down and gets him out of there. Maybe late or so. I think the pressure, the combinations, the speed, the way he's just graceful getting in and out of exchanges too. I think he probably gets a late stoppage, but I don't feel the need to bet on this one. I just feel like Bam's gonna get it done, and I'll just watch him get it done. I don't really feel the need to like jump in there and put my money on it, just because I don't like where some of the odds are placed.
Unless you put yourself in a parlay, and then you might hit something big, which I
Sure.
did this past weekend, and it worked out well for me. For a guy like Bam Rodriguez, I actually think this is a really good fight. I think it's a tough fight. I don't think Fernando Martinez has that type of power, but what he does have is a high work rate. That's how he wins fights. He's been dropped before, but he's also taken a lot of heavy shots and he sustained them. So for a guy like Bam Rodriguez, also remember, this is Southpaw versus Orthodox. So that's going to make things a little bit more interesting. We got to definitely watch out for headbutts, maybe any cuts. But this is going to be a very interesting matchup because I think Martinez is a very, very tough fighter. Like we've seen him in the past, not give up. Been dropped before, gets back up. And also, like I said, he has taken some big shots and has still continued to come forward. It's just the work rate that I think is going to be huge for him because he has a very high work rate. In terms of Bam Rodriguez, we know that he's super skilled. We know that he likes to mix it up. He likes to get to the body. He has a great jab, and I think he's going to establish the jab pretty early. And Bam has power. I think Bam's going to win by decision, and I think the scores are going to be very favorable to Bam. I think he's going to win most of these rounds, but I don't think he's going to knock out a guy like Martinez. Martinez does have experience. He's a little bit older. Well, actually a lot older than Bam. But at the same time, I think he's a very, very tough fighter. And I think he's definitely going to throw a lot of volume onto Bam. And Bam does get hit. Let's remember that, right? I think for a guy like Bam, he's just going to use his great footwork. He's going to be very accurate with his punches, and he's going to put on a good performance. But I see this one going to the card. So I would probably take Bam Rodriguez by decision in this one.
Yeah. Martinez is kind of William Zepeda-ish, where he throws a lot of volume, to your point, but
he doesn't have any power though.
Yeah, there's not a lot of, and Zepeda has some power. He has more power, obviously, comparatively, but he also like is an accumulation of punishment guy for the most part. And I think that's what Martinez I do wonder if he hangs around in the pocket too long. That's where I could see this going left, and then Bam just takes advantage because Bam is an excellent counterpuncher. When he decides to be a counterpuncher. So yeah, I'm with you. I think Bam's gonna get this done. I don't know how. I probably lean late stoppage, but it all depends on what type of fight Fernando Martinez is gonna fight, and also with Bam Rodriguez. Bam Rodriguez also has a reach advantage. That's going to be interesting to monitor, like how he uses that. He has a 3-inch reach advantage, 67 to 64. And his body punching, I think, is going to be key here too. His work to the body is going to be big, especially because of the way Fernando Martinez likes to fight.
And he cuts off the ring really well. That's not another thing about Bam. The only thing that I think Bam needs to work on, and I want to know if he got better at this, is because Fernando Martinez likes to come forward and has a high work rate. Bam Rodriguez will probably have to fight off his back foot a little bit because he's going to come forward, even though I'm pretty sure Bam's going to be coming forward. There will be times in the fight where Fernando Martinez is going to try to impose his will, just in terms of work rate and speed. And Bam Rodriguez is going to have to fight off of his back foot. And when he's fighting off of his back foot, that's what I want to see if he got better at, because sometimes he can leave himself open and, he maybe take some big shots, but nothing that I think that will hurt him. We haven't seen Bam be hurt yet, like hurt really badly.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to happen in this fight. I just want to know if he's gotten better fighting off of the back foot. And it's really, really interesting because that's the only time where I'm looking at Bam. I'm like, that's the one thing he can get better at, because it's not really natural for him to fight off the back foot. So that's the only way where I think he, might giveaway round if Fernando Martinez is able to come forward, land some heavy shots and combos. But nonetheless, let us know how you're going to be betting this fight. We're both going with Bam. But if you are going to take Fernando Martinez, let us know. Drop it in the comments. Let's get to some comments, though, on the show. Hey, Jesus, good friend of the show, which we haven't heard from a while. Norman will get robbed. Do you think Norman will get robbed if it goes to the cards?
Ooh. So think about this politically. Brian Norman Jr. is still a top-ranked guy. Devin Haney is more in with the Saudis, we'll say. And if this goes to the cards and we think Norman Jr. should have it, I mean, obviously depends on how the fight goes. Is there a dry, like, does he drop him? Does he land more? Whatever. But would it make sense for them to give Haney the victory? Because you have to follow the money here. And I think it would, because they probably want a Haney Garcia rematch at some point. And obviously Ryan Garcia is in with them too. So there are like third eye reasons, if we could entertain a conspiracy theory, why it would make sense for Norman to get robbed. And I don't think that, look, I don't like robberies. I don't think it should happen. And I'm not saying that judges are paid and, paid off or whatever, but it's boxing at the end of the day, and it's boxing over there. So we have
good point.
We have to be aware of what's going on at the highest level. We saw listen, that's Turkey's Mans who was in the White House this week. So there's you have to think about this on like a different level sometimes, not to make Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. The center of like world politics. But
I'll say this though. I think unless Brian Norman Jr. drops Haney like 2 times in the fight, if it goes to the cards, I think Devin's winning. Because if it goes to the cards, that will tell me a lot. And I think just in terms of skill, Devin is way better than Brian Norman Jr. and what I've seen. Like, that's the thing. We don't have a huge sample size of Brian Norman Jr. We've seen a lot of his fights, but not as many as we've seen Devin Haney. And in terms of skill, Devin is still that guy to me.
Yeah.
We just got to know if he can take a punch still.
Right.
We just got to know if he wants to get hit still. But if we're just talking in terms of skill, Devin's that dude. And I don't think Brian Norman Jr. can outskill him. It's about power here. And maybe we're going to see a very skilled Brian Norman Jr. But in terms of experience, Devin Haney's been in the ring with some dudes. He's been in the ring with some dudes and he's proven it. So, as much as we're taking Brian Norman Jr., we know how good Devin Haney is. He just hasn't proven it in this weight class. And we just don't know what type of fighter he is after that fight against Ryan Garcia. It's just the truth of it. So now we're going to find out. And I hope we don't see another Devin Haney and Jose Ramirez. And I don't think we will, because Brian, here's the other thing here for Brian Norman Jr. Keyshawn Davis has a lot of extra stuff after what happened at his last fight in Norfolk. To me, Keyshawn Davis was supposed to be that dude in like the next face of boxing, the way they were pushing him. Everything about him was exciting. If Brian Norman Jr. gets it done against Devin Haney and puts on a statement victory, and we're talking welterweight, which is, it's not a pop in division right now, but it could be if Brian Norman Jr. knocks out Devin Haney. And then maybe we might be talking about Brian Norman Jr. possibly being a face of boxing.
You mentioned this, and I think this is kind of the thing here. We have to learn what type of puncher Brian Norman Jr. is. Are you the type of puncher who can actually get these dudes out at a top level, or are you the type of puncher who you can get outboxed, so you're going to be used as an opponent moving forward when you fight these type of skilled dudes? Also, to your point, if you look at the list of top American boxers,
yes,
like specifically American, on BoxRec, Terrence Crawford's obviously first. He's going to be on his way out at some point, unless he's going to do this until he's 45.
Oh, I like this. I like this list already. This is a good list.
It's Crawford, Boots, and then Shakur. I'd flip those two.
Yeah, I would.
David Benavidez, Tank, Haney 6, Bam 7. I would definitely flip that. I would actually put Bam probably ahead of Tank too.
I would put Bam right behind, David Benavidez, in my opinion.
Oh, I'd put him ahead of Dave Benavidez too, actually.
Well, I just think like the star power for me.
Yeah,
Like just
yeah,
bigger. Right.
yeah. I think in terms of just better all around top,
Fighter?
yeah.
Oh, then
Uh,
Bam Rodriguez is probably like top 2 or 3 for me
on this particular
on
list.
this
Yeah,
list.
actually,
Yeah.
he's second after Bud. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he is.
It's just like
Teofimo Lopez.
sorry, I just know the potential of Shakur.
Yeah.
That's the
No,
thing.
no,
That's
no.
the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's fair. Like Shakur could be 1 and should be probably soon.
Virgil needs to be higher.
Virgil's 9. A lot of people put him ahead of Devin Haney right now, even though I
Yep.
still think he has something to prove too. We'll see. He needs to fight Boots. Raymond Murataya is 10.
I would put Keyshawn Davis ahead of him, no?
And then Brian Norman Jr. is 11. And all of this is to say, if Brian Norman Jr. gets Devin Haney out of here in the way that people expect, Brian Norman Jr., he climbs up this list. Like that, it's a better win than Teofimo Lopez has had in a while, because Teofimo Lopez is really still dining off the Lomachenko victory. And Josh Taylor was the other really good win that he had. And now looking at it in hindsight, it's like Josh Taylor had a long layoff. Josh Taylor was kind of not the same anymore. Lost to Jack Catterall after that. And it's like, okay, well, you know what was, and Teofimo Lopez has been inconsistent. Virgil Ortiz still has an interim title. He's taken on some tough challenges, but it's like there's still a hump there. And it's like, okay, you have to beat one of these like top guys now. And he's challenging himself with like the other tier with like Madrimov and Bohachuk. And it's like, I don't know if he's going to beat Boots Ennis. They need to fight each other. Raymond Murataya should not be 10th on this list. No disrespect. And Andy Cruz might reinforce that in January. We'll see. But Brian Norman Jr. can jump on this list.
I want to get to Jesus's comment. And he says, come on, Shantelle, face a boxing Norman off beating Devin Haney. This is the thing that I want to say about this. If you watch any of Brian Norman Jr.'s interviews throughout this whole entire press run, the guy is like must watch.
He's funny.
He is so good. He can sell himself. He has the aura of a superstar. I'm not saying he'll be the face of boxing right away, but there's potential for him to be it because he has all the attributes. He has all the attributes like Keyshawn Davis in terms of star power. Brian Norman Jr. is very likable. He's likable. It's not like Devin Haney where it's like so many people hate him. People
there's something to that too, though, to be fair. Like
Shakur Stevenson has the same thing. Like for some reason, right? Like they hate on Shakur so
Ryan
badly.
Garcia too, although Ryan Garcia has earned it with his activity over the years.
For example, Teofimo Lopez has that star power too, but half the time people are calling him crazy. Like he's in the headlines
because he's also done some shit. Like that's the thing. Like
very, very, he's done some very terrible, questionable things. But I think he's kind of just like he's a goofy guy, but it gets taken. He just does stupid stuff. Like let's just be serious. He needs a better team around him.
Shakur pisses people off with his style. Devin Haney, him and his dad just rub people the wrong way. Teofimo Lopez, people think he's racist, and he said some racist shit in the past. So Tank can't stop allegedly.
Tank's got out of the ring issues at this point.
Yeah.
Like, and here's the thing with Tank, and I'll say this, and listen, I've loved watching Tank fight. I've said that he's been the best in his division for a little while now. It's too many times where he's been accused of these things. For me,
it's the same crime too. It's the same crime. So it's like,
remember they were saying all that stuff about Diddy for a while. Turned out to be true. Okay. Turned out to be true. But this is obviously all alleged, and then sometimes it goes away. But for me, like this is the same story about Tank all the time, and it sucks that it's that.
Money can make things go away, but innocence, not exactly. Depends.
Yeah.
I bring this up really to outline. Okay, if Brian Norman Jr. beats Devin Haney, this list, let's say 2 years from now, it's plausible. Probably more than plausible that he's in the top 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Not even 8, 3 to 5. Because I'm assuming by then, let's say Crawford's done. Tank might be done because he keeps saying he wants to retire soon.
I think Tank is done.
Teofimo Lopez by then, I mean, look, if he fights Shakur, I'm taking Shakur in that fight. And I think Shakur would be on this list. And Teofimo Lopez is too unsteady to rely on him in a
Let me
consistent.
tell you guys something. In like a couple of years, Shakur will be number one. I'm gonna stand on that.
Him or Boots.
It's
Or
for me.
Bam.
It's going to be Shakur.
I think it's if you're setting like the odds, he would be the favorite. And then Boots and then Bam and then Boots. The thing with
Yeah,
Bam you have to watch out for though in those lighter weight classes, you get more
you get
upset
rocked. And
sometimes.
also, there's a guy that's standing that might fight Naoya Inoue Nakatani. Bam. I don't know. Like Nakatani is really really good.
Oh, like if he beats Bam, you're saying
Yeah, but I don't know.
in
I
the
need to see
future?
that fight. Bam's really young
Mm,
still. That's the only thing. Shakur's still really young though. But for me, like I've said this on this show before, I don't know if anyone's going to beat Shakur.
yeah.
I'm saying it right now, and I'm going to stand 10 toes down on this. I don't think anyone's going to beat Shakur. That's
We
how
sh-
good I think Shakur Stevenson is.
All right. We have one more fight to talk about.
Get ready, UK mandatory fans. Get
Oh
ready for this
boy.
one.
This is the second
This
best
is.
fight on the main card, I think.
I agree. This fight's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm
Abdullah
excited for it.
Mason, who was a bigger favorite before at one point. It was like minus 300, but then it popped to not 6, but it got beyond this, and now it's coming back a little bit, minus 430 to beat Sam Noakes. I think a lot of people just widely expect Abdullah Mason to just win this fight, which I feel like is kind of dismissing Sam Noakes in a way that I don't want to. But at the same time, Abdullah,
Sam Noakes has 15 knockouts. He's got power too.
yeah.
He's got power too. And Abdullah Mason's been dropped before.
This feels like people overlooking Sam Noakes because
They
Abdullah
haven't seen,
Mason's.
but they also haven't seen a lot of Sam Noakes.
That's what I'm
That's the
saying.
issue.
He's from the UK. He hasn't beaten the same level of competition Abdullah Mason's been on ESPN. And as I mentioned before, like as much as I think Abdullah Mason is going to be like I've probably set it up here like in terms of a prospect. Like he's one of the absolute best when he was coming up. But he just started fighting 10 rounders this year. And now all of a sudden he's gotten this number one spot because Keyshawn Davis just couldn't make weight and couldn't stay out of trouble. So I think
I'm gonna say something. I think you could argue that this might be the best fight on the card.
maybe. You know what? Stylistically, it should be actually. It should be better than Norman and Haney.
No, I'm excited for this one because I think obviously I understand why Abdullah Mason is favored. Sam Noakes is going to be his toughest fight yet. Sam Noakes is a very, very good fighter. Bryan, how do you see this fight going and how are you betting?
It's hard not to pick Abdullah Mason, but and I'm going to. I do think he gets this done, but and probably by stoppage. But man, I feel like some of this is just projecting in terms of like, okay, he's younger, he's skilled, he's gonna be better, whatever. But Sam Noakes is also 28, and Abdullah Mason is 21. Sam Noakes
He's so young. He's so good, Abdullah Mason. Like it's ridiculous how young he is, dude. It blows my mind.
There's a world where Sam Noakes is just like very physical. Like he makes this a bruising fight that Abdullah Mason is like you would think he'd handle better, but he hasn't quite developed that like physical / emotional maturity yet. Like there's a world where Sam Noakes, who's 28, who's fought 10 rounders longer, who's fought 12 rounders longer, as a matter of fact, because remember, he was like the Commonwealth champion. And I want to say he won the British title as well. And he's been doing this since like 2022. Like he has the experience here. He has more experience here. Resume wise, it's probably it's close. Like it's you can't say Abdullah Mason's definitively better. Like Sam Noakes has done more to earn this title shot. Let's be clear about that. Like he's done more in terms of his like the titles he's won in Britain, getting the British title, getting the Commonwealth title, getting the WBO international title, fighting 12 rounders for years before this. Like he's done a lot to get to this point. I think Abdullah Mason's like more talented and we think he's going to be better and his ceiling is higher. But there's a world where Sam Noakes is just very physical and actually like handles this really, really well. And people just kind of like overlook him because he's been fighting in the UK for years, and people mainly watch like ESPN as opposed to DAZN.
Listen, I'm not going to bet on this fight, and I'm not going to bet on this fight because I think it's going to be a very back and forth fight. I think Sam Noakes has to get off to an early start in this one. Abdullah Mason has speed and ridiculous power, and the only thing is we haven't seen him go a full 12 rounds. Can he sustain the power and the heavy volume from a guy like Sam Noakes? Because Sam Noakes, you know, the UK fans are like this. He doesn't have like this the same type of power Abdullah Mason has, but he has brute power. The UK fans will love that. So he has this physical strength, and he is very powerful. And I think this is going to be a very back and forth fight in the beginning. And here's the thing: if Sam Noakes can close the distance on Abdullah Mason, Mason could be in trouble because Sam Noakes does have power, and Abdullah Mason has been dropped before.
Friend of the show, Ryan Hong comments, Brian, tell me you're betting Norman. We both think Norman wins by knockout. With this fight, here's one thing, because you said this just now. I want to toss this back. Sam Noakes has fought 8 or more rounds in a fight, because he's fought 12 rounders, but obviously has gotten stoppages. Yeah. But he's made it to the full 12 rounds twice.
Yeah.
He's fought at least 8 rounds 4 times. You want to guess how many times Abdullah Mason's fought 8 rounds in his career?
Not a lot, because he was knocking out dudes left, right, and center in the beginning.
0.
Yeah, he's never even fought a 12-round fight.
He's never been beyond the 6th round. He's fought 8 rounders, he's fought 10 rounders, but got stoppages. He's never been beyond the 6th round in a fight. So if I'm Sam Noakes, yes, I'm trying to actually box early and see what he has. And if I'm Sam Noakes, I'm going to be patient. I want to drag this out and try to finish him late, because he does have an 8th round stoppage. He does have a 9th round stoppage in his career. And obviously he's been, you know, the full length twice, only twice in his career. The only 2 times he's won a decision were in 12-round fights. Once against Ryan Walsh, that's a solid, just a dominant, like just overall boxing performance. They didn't record a knockdown, but won basically every round.
Yeah.
So like in both fights, actually, both of those 12-round fights, he won basically every round. Man, Abdullah Mason, I think, is going to be better and has the higher ceiling probably long term. But Sam Noakes, like I think people are just taking this win for granted, and I don't think they should be doing that.
Yeah. And Jesus says, Sam, go to the body. I think Abdullah Mason's the one that has to mix it up a lot more in this one. Like if Abdullah Mason wants to get him up out of there, I think this fight goes the distance. I think there's a possibility that Mason could get him out of there, but I think Sam Noakes is so tough. I'm not betting on this fight, guys. I think I'm not. This is going to be the fight of the night, in my opinion. And I think Sam Noakes is going to surprise a lot of people. And here's the thing: I never go hard for a UK fighter like this ever.
Noakes is good. Noakes is
that good. I'm telling you, and he's got power, and he has experience. He's a little bit older, but Abdullah Mason, like his attributes, he's a dog. Like he's just so talented and so young. This is going to be a great fight. Drop in the comments who you think's going to win and how you're going to be betting. Ryan, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Rounds over under 9.5.
Over.
If you're telling me it goes over, I kind of like Noakes, because we haven't seen Abdullah Mason navigate. And there's a world where Abdullah Mason is just that special and as special as we think he's going to be. He's skilled too. And he 12 rounds, yeah, no sweat. Because these dudes do train for this. It's different when you're in there as opposed to just training for it. But like there's a world where he just like, 12 rounds easy, and he wins 10 of the 12 rounds, and like, what are we talking about? Look, I'm not saying that Sam Noakes is going to win, but man, I might not bet this one either, if I'm being honest. So
yeah, it's going to be too good of a fight. Please drop your comments. Let us know how you're going to be betting. Brian, I'll let you have the final words before you get out of here. We get out of here. Are we doing a post-fight show?
We're planning a post-fight show, yes. So it'll be late afternoon or mid-afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, or it could be at night. I don't know. Depends on where you are. But after the fights, we're doing our first post-fight live show in a while. We have a card worthy of doing it. possibly last one of the year, TBD. Oh, wait, December. We'll see.
We'll see, but
We'll
definitely a
look over the
post-fight
December schedule.
post-fight show on Saturday. So if you got time and want to hang out and drop some of your comments, tell us what you thought about the fight. Hang out with us, talk a little bit about the fights that we saw because the card is dope. We'll be here hanging out with you right after the final bell. And yeah, we'll be here. So make sure to come kick it with us on Saturday. Thanks so much for rocking out with us. Remember, if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you on